What's up, guys? So today I want to tell you about the only benefit that I've seen people that start martial arts late in life, the benefit they have. I talk a lot about people who if you start martial arts later in life, it's harder. It's harder to go against somebody, to deal with somebody that's been training their whole life, whether that's wrestling, jiu-jitsu, kickboxing, Muay Thai, karate, whatever martial art they did for a long time and gotten really good at. And of course, this is towards the end goal of mixed martial arts. But the only benefit that I've seen over the years that people have that start later in life, that honestly is the only benefit you need to a degree to make it far, to make it very far. And that's a chip on their shoulder. The people who start martial arts later in life oftentimes have a chip on their shoulder. And I know this because I was one of the guys. I didn't start training until I was 20 years old. I didn't start grappling until I was 22. And the big advantage, it's really the only advantage. It's the only advantage of starting later in life because people that have been training their whole life just have such a leg up through the reps, the amount of training they did, the amount of mat time they have, maybe the amount of competitions they have. If they did wrestling, jiu-jitsu, boxing, whatever sport they're doing, they have so much more experience time. But what the guy who starts later in life has that has the goal of being serious and going far, he has a chip on his shoulder. And when I say chip on his shoulder, I remember coming up, I would go against guys in the training room. I'd been training for 2 years and they'd been training for 10, and it got to a point I was beating them. And I wasn't beating them because I'm some freak athlete like Alex Pereira. Like there's exceptions to everything. But a lot of the people you see in the UFC that are world class that started later in life are freak athletes. So that is a part of the equation. But if you're just a regular athlete like me, I was very tall for the weight class, but nothing special besides being tall and decently strong for my size, because I did lift weights quite a bit when I was younger, even though I didn't start fighting until I was 20. So I had a good athletic foundation of being physically strong. I was very strong and hard to take down. But a chip on your shoulder, guys. The guys who start later in life, when they're like, I remember going in the room and training with guys that had 5 and 10 years more experience than me, and all I thought in my mind the whole time is, motherfucker, once I learn some more shit, I'm gonna fuck you up. Once I learn some more technique, you're in trouble. My alarm is going off. So the chip on the shoulder does matter, guys. When you have a chip on your shoulder as a fighter, it really pays off big time. Now it can make you a little argumentative towards your teammates. It can make you not be necessarily have a pleasing personality, but it'll take you far. When there's fighters out there that come into the gym and have a mindset, when they go against these guys that have been training their whole life or half their life, they just think, if I had more training time, I would fuck you up. And that mindset carries them very far, guys. So just something to think about. The guys that, sorry, my alarm keeps going off and I have to turn it off. But the guys that start martial arts late in life, that end up going far, always have a chip on their shoulder. They always have the mindset of, because my whole time coming up, I had like a complex almost that that I couldn't catch up to these guys. This was the hardest part of the whole thing for me, was trying to beat guys that had been training their whole life. Because there was so many guys with so much experience in to make it to the UFC, start at 20 years old, and have a career was there for 8 years is very hard to do. And I would argue it's probably harder now than when I started, because there's guys now there's so many kids that have been training their entire life. But there is going to be people out there that make a way, that find that find martial arts later in life and pursue it and can go far. And a lot of that does go back to them having a chip on their shoulder. They feel almost bitter that they weren't allowed to start martial arts earlier, whether they were poor and didn't have money to go to a gym, didn't have access to a gym. Maybe they lived in a town where there was no gym. But when you have a chip on your shoulder, it's a good thing when you start later in life, for sure. It's a good attribute to have when you start later in life. So something to think about if you're starting martial arts later in life, take it serious. Size up the people that you're training against or that you're fighting against that have more experience than you, and see and become obsessed with being better than these guys that have been training their whole life, and make it your mindset to do so, and it'll carry you very far. It carried me pretty far. So I hope you liked the video. If there's any other subjects you'd like me to talk about, just leave a comment below, and I'll try to make a video. And if you're new to martial arts, looking for a gym in your area, get my book, The Ultimate Guide to Choosing Your Martial Arts School and Instructor. Link is in the description. Thank you guys.